Hello, my name is Georgia. Today I'm going to talk about everything I knit in 2025. I think it hopefully goes without saying, but you know, my list of everything I made should not be a comparison or benchmark for anyone else in terms of what they think they should or should not be making. I'm just excited to talk about everything I've knit. And I think also it's worth noting that 2025 was my first full year of knitting, like over the entire year. Consistently and like, you know, knitting to patterns. I learned to knit when I was quite little, when I was 8, but I didn't really get back into it until 2024, and then didn't really get into Ravelry and like finding new patterns and everything until, you know, more towards the end of 2024. So 2025, I was super excited to be doing a lot of knitting. I had a lot of plans. I executed on a lot of plans. And I think, you know, it's worth saying, like, I don't even see myself knitting this much in 2026. But you know, with that being said, I'm super excited again to talk about everything, and let's just get into it. So I think I'll start off with tops that I knit, which I have. I'm just gonna look at my notes here on the side. I have a fair few. I think I'm gonna go in no real particular order. I'm gonna try not to talk too much about any one item because, you know, as I mentioned, I feel like I knit a lot in 2025. So I'll try to just flash them and then go through. And if people have questions on any of the yarns or more of the details, I can try to answer them. But I think for the time being, I'll try to just say, you know, the pattern designer, maybe mention the yarn. So this is gonna be the Barbroe blouse. This is by Pernille Larsen of Knitting for Olive. And I knit this in the Knitting for Olive merino in the colorway Disty Artichoke. I have been wanting to make this for a while. I think I had it on the needles for a long time because I didn't want to try to figure out the increases in the lace pattern. But once I figured everything out, it was a pretty straightforward pattern. Many pages in the PDF, so I feel like I found that intimidating. But you know, the actual knitting itself, there was nothing too crazy happening. Yeah, it has like a keyhole and button detail on the back that I love. I love the scallop edge for the collar, the cuffs, the hem. The construction is seamed, which wasn't my all-time favorite, but you know, beyond that, I love this pattern. I wear it so much. I just love the finished object and could not recommend it more. The next one I will talk about is going to be a much simpler top. This is going to be the Wave Tee by PetiteKnit. And I made this, I was really craving to work with some fluffy yarn. So this is the Plume yarn, or Lanes de Nord Plume in the colorway Lime. And I definitely modified this to make it cropped. I didn't add as much length to the sleeves. I think it's just a basic raglan though. So I basically just ended where the raglan split off, and then maybe added a row or two. But yeah, I think that I managed to do this in just 2 skeins of yarn, maybe 1. I'm forgetting how much a skein came with. But yeah, love this. This is cotton also, so it's a lot lighter weight and better for, I think, a cropped short sleeve top than say like a boucle wool would be. But yeah, love this top. I wear it a lot. And I, you know, love the color. Green's my favorite color, so you're gonna be seeing a lot of it. This was my first ever test knit. This is gonna be the Anna top. This is by the designer Lydia, or kisskiss.rhinestones. There's a couple different modifications for the top. You can make a mock net, which I chose not to do. You can also add bust row shaping or not, which I did do the bust shaping with Japanese short rows. I think the pattern maybe says German short rows, but I decided Japanese short rows would be a little bit more invisible. And if you don't do the short rows for the bust shaping, you're able to wear it front to back and back to front because it has these really pretty keyholes that I did not do the best job sewing the eyelets in. But yeah, this was in Malbrigio, Suspirio yarn in the colorway Polar Morn, which I loved. It's like a more drapey linen silk wool blend of some sort. This top is another tank top in just 1 skein of yarn, where I was playing a little bit of yarn chicken, but this is the Naomi top. I'm going to check the designer's name because I forget on this one. Naomi top by Marie, Lena Tricot. This is some really beautiful Malbrigio Aurora yarn that my partner got me. I just love this colorway. I think it was so autumnal. I was knitting this at the end of summer and just so excited to be working with this yarn. And I love this top. I think I made it a little bit more cropped than recommended, but I wear it all the time. It's one of my favorites. And yeah, it just makes me really happy with the yarn. This next one is gonna be the Go-To Racer Tank by Brie. I cannot pronounce her last name, so it's Lemon Squeezy Knits is I think how I found her on Etsy. This is one of the first ever patterns I ever knit. And this was me making it for myself for the first time, like a year after knitting it for some friends. I wish I had added more length in the body. It's bottom up, so I didn't really realize. But I knit this in just the Hobby Rainbow Cotton 8/4 yarn in this army green color. And yeah, I'm super happy with how it turned out. Again, I wear it all the time. I wear all of my summer knits a lot. I live in Southern California. I get a lot of use out of them. I know not everyone loves a summer knit, but for me, they're one of my go-tos. This next one is going to be the Colette tee by Sari Nordlund, which I knit in some silk tencel yarn that I picked up in Montreal. I actually blocked it with the next top I will show. And so there's some color transfer right here, but I don't think it's that bad. I just, will not be doing that again. The other top must be blocked by itself, or at least not with something this light. But I love this pattern. I think the cables and the lace are just so beautiful. And I wear this to work a lot. I really like it. So this is the one I blocked it with, which, maybe not shockingly, pleats. This is the Bad Sheep yarn Mulberry Silk in the colorway Orchid. And this is the Fleur Cami by Brianna Mason, which I'm not the best lace knitter. I like, the knitting itself is not hard, but getting the stitch count right is a little bit difficult. So I had many stitch markers in this, but I love this top. I wear it all the time. I think once I got through it, I was super happy with the final result. And I love this yarn. The colorway is just so beautiful. I guess I can try to hold it up one more time. And I think, okay, the only other top I have here with me is gonna be this top, this is actually the Ocean Doodle Cowl pattern by Jamie Lomax that I then modified to be a top. So I literally just used the cowl pattern, which I think was maybe written for fingering weight yarn. I changed it to ZK. I figured out the number of stitches I would need. That'd be a multiple of the chart repeat for the color work, but that would make it a top size for me. And then I just did the bottom up and then split for the top, did basically pretty basic decreases, added the collar. I also added, you can maybe tell because it's not as good of a chart, I added the jellyfish chart myself to the rest of the chart repeats, which I can try to set up a little bit. But you have the crab, you have the octopus, you have the shell, and all the little fishies, which are probably much better designed. This was my first time coming up with a color work chart myself for the jellyfish. But I had so much fun making this. I'm really happy with it. I love the cowl pattern. I live in Southern California. I don't think I'd get that much use out of it. So it was really exciting to use that pattern and use those beautiful color work charts that Jamie Lomax came up with and then turn it into a top. And I have just a couple, I think maybe 3 gift knit tops that I'll mention really quickly. I did the Penelope top by Sari Nordlund, which was a test knit actually that I gifted to one of my friends. I also did the Rumble Raglan, which I made for myself, but it's by Lydia Morrow. I then made a version for my sister for her birthday. And I did that in some coast to coast yarn that I really liked. And I just was super happy with how it turned out. And then I also did the Ocean Polo men's crochet top by, let me check the designer, by Lisa Boyd. And that was in a purple bamboo yarn that I then gifted to one of my friends. And I really want to make a version for myself now too. And with that, I think that is all the tops. So I'll maybe move into sweaters. Okay, I have a huge and now very kind of messy stack of sweaters next to me, so bear with me. The sweaters are going to be a little bit more petite knit, not all petite knit, maybe about 50%. So if that's not your jam, my apologies. But I think she has great classic designs, so that's why I knit a lot of them. So this first one here is going to be the Cumulus O-neck. I knit this in some mohair that my mom had gifted me, and this is actually I had frogged a different pattern to reknit it with this, and I just love this. Again, I wear it to work all the time over a button up, and yeah, I just love this yarn. It's so beautiful, great pattern. I feel like you see it all the time for good reason. Don't have that much more to add or say. The next one is going to be a much more fun, colorful kind of yarn, a little bit less wearable, but that's okay. This is the Seela pattern, and this is in the Lane Cloud yarn, I think the colorway number 3. And I chose this pattern because you're able to do it in the smallest size, which is 3 skeins of the Lane yarn, which is a little bit, it's a big ball, but it's kind of expensive yarn. So I was happy to squeeze it out with just 3 skeins. It has a sort of balloon type sleeve. And yeah, I think it's just super fun. I feel like I wear this sweater actually quite a lot, despite it being, it's not a neutral, but I don't really mind that. And yeah, I really love the yarn. The colorway is just so beautiful. And I feel like I always get a lot of compliments on it just because the self-striping turned out so nicely, which, to no effort of my own, but, it's great. It turned out great. This next one is actually my first finished object of 2025. I think I knit it mostly all in 2024, but then I finished it on January 1st or 2nd of 2025. And this is my porcelain sweater, which I knit in Knitting for Olive, merino and mohair, but then I modified to be on a smaller needle for a slightly tighter gauge. And I added, to compensate for the sizing, I then added an extra colorwork repeat at the bottom. And in the sleeves. And yeah, I love this. This was my first time doing a colorwork sweater. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. The pattern's really well written. It's by Lena also. And yeah, no real major things to say or add, but I wear this so much. I feel like especially during the winter, it's just so fun. But you know, I feel like I wear it year round because I'm just so happy with how it turned out. This next one is a pattern I had been following the designer, like eagerly anticipating for her to release it. It's by the same one as the Anna top, which was a testament I did. This is the Vivian Cardigan, sort of like a zip-up jacket by Lydia of kisskiss.rhinestones. And this I knit in the recommended Phil Colonna. It's Peruvian Helin plus alva plus one other yarn that I'm forgetting the name of, but also Phil Colonna. And it just gives you this really chunky raglan zip-up sweater or cardigan jacket, and it has these really nice interfacing details and a softer Phil Colonna yarn because it's so chunky, it's so warm, it keeps you really warm and cozy. It was using Japanese short rows for the short rows in the back, and they're really nice and invisible, and it was my first time doing it, and it went pretty smoothly. I'm now getting a fluff of some yarn on my nose, so excuse me. But yeah, I love this. I wear this all the time. I take it on trips because I feel like it's a really good like throw over, you know, if you need an extra warm layer. This is really, really warm. And I was just so happy to make it. I love the color. It's called Green Tea, I think is the main color for the two main yarns. And I was just super, super happy to make it. This next one is gonna be another PetiteKnit. This is the Stockholm sweater. I knit this in curio fiber, clover yarn for the base with then Phil Colonna, Tilia, juicy green mohair, and then I lost yarn chicken and had to get Yakima Plymouth yarn for the collar and the cuffs. But I really love it. I call it my pickle sweater. One of my friends has also said it's my Kermit sweater. And yeah, just a great sweater. I love it. Green's again my favorite color, so I love all the shades of green and could not be more happy with it. And I think, you know, not that losing yarn chicken is ever good, but I think this is a case where, in my opinion, it worked out. I think I'm more happy with it with having the accent colors than I would have been without. So we're getting towards the end of sweaters, I promise. This is gonna be the tarot card sweater by Tamara Jordan, of which she has several, maybe like 5 different colorwork charts of different tarot cards you can choose. I knit this in the recommended Cascade 220 Sport, non-superwash yarn. I was using the colorway Jet, which is like a charcoal black, and then their natural undyed yarn for the contrast color for the tarot card. The one thing I'll note is this is knit flat, so you have to knit a really big black rectangle for the back before you get to the color work on the front, which is then knit with ladder back jacquard, which I can try to really quickly turn inside and show. This was my first time doing ladder back jacquard, which I found she has a really, really good tutorial video on YouTube that she made herself with the pattern. It explained it phenomenally well. You know, I feel like probably without that video I would have been pretty lost, but with the video it was really smooth sailing. So you have, you know, the flows are just caught in a much, you know, nicer way, and you have this very kind of uniform ladders going down the floats on the inside to just give it a little bit more structure and allow it to be, you know, done without having to be worrying about catching your floats every, you know, so many stitches. But yeah, I love this one. I finished it in time for Halloween and was super happy to get to be wearing it around that time of year. And I really am looking forward to, I want to do, she has a couple really cool colorwork sweaters that I want to do. She has like the unicorn tapestry sweater. Again, Tamara Jordan, or Starcross Knits is her other handle name, that I'm, you know, I'm hoping to do a couple more of her patterns soon. And so the final sweater I have here with me today is going to be the Monday sweater by PetiteKnit. For this I use Cascade Heritage finger ring yarn with then Altair, their mohair, and it's both in this really steel icy blue gray color. Very basic sweater, loved it, just really good raglan construction, really good stockinette in the round, and I just love these color combos. So I have finished this. This is probably my most recently finished sweater, and so I've worn it the least, but I really love it. I see it having a lot of use in my wardrobe. So the final two sweaters, excuse me, that I made are both going to be gift sweaters. So one of them is sweater number 26, And the other one is going to be the Cumulus Blouse by PetiteKnit, and I'm realizing there's a third. I also made a zipper sweater light man, also by PetiteKnit, also a gift knit. So sweater number 26 is by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit it in the Cowborn's Wool and Scout yarn. I used the Autumn Heather colorway, which was really beautiful. It was sort of this rainbowy olive green, and I really love that yarn. I want to make something for myself in it as well. But it's like a saddle shoulder construction crew neck sweater that I gifted to one of my friends I was visiting. I also made I made the Cumulus Blouse V-neck for my mom. I used this beautiful yarn that I'm gonna not be able to pronounce the brand name, but it's called their Casita yarn. That was this really beautiful alpaca blown, sort of fluffy white with like orange and yellow speckles. I'll try to pop a photo in, and it's really nice to get to see my mom wear that now. And then I made the man's zipper sweater light by PetiteKnit. And that I used the recommended Sandusgarn Sunday yarn, double Sunday, excuse me, and the colorway was 8082. And I made that for my partner. Again, I had to do a zipper installation, which I don't know if I mentioned, I struggled with on the Vivian jacket. I did a little bit better maybe on this one, having now had done that on the Vivian Cardigan jacket, but it is still not my favorite thing to do. So with sweaters out of the way, I have just 2 sweater vests that I'll mention really briefly. So the first is going to be the Wild Rose Vest by Mary Ann Stevens. This is a steeped Fair Isle sweater that she did in Jameson's Shetland Spindrift yarn, which she has colorway packs for because there's like maybe 14 different colors in this. So I didn't want to try to figure out 14 different colors on my own. I just bought one of her color packets or yarn packets that she sells on her website. It was my first time working with like this rustic of a yarn, but I really enjoyed it. I think it was perfect for this, perfect for sneaking. I wouldn't have wanted to do it in something, you know, softer that would possibly unravel a little bit more. And this was just a really fun, much more traditional pattern that I was really happy to make. And I wear this all the time. I wear it to work over a button up. I'm not afraid of a lot of color. And I just love this. I think it's so beautiful and so special, and it makes me really proud to go, oh, I made that. And the second sweater vest is a self-drafted pattern in some leftover yarn, Barocco Tiramisu yarn in the colorway Espresso. So I had this leftover yarn. I had also buttons I had picked out as an option for a different pattern and didn't use, and I just wanted to make something that would use up both. And so I didn't have quite enough for a sweater, but I had enough to make a sweater vest. But since I had the buttons, I wanted to, you know, have it be buttoned up, and I was realizing I just couldn't find a pattern I liked for the right weight and everything and quantities. So I just ended up drafting it myself. I'm super happy with how it turned out. I, just did pretty basic construction, did a double knit button band. And yeah, I just think this yarn is so beautiful with all the different colors and sort of the shininess and it's like, this yarn, if you're not familiar, it's 2 strands that are like in the same skein as they sell it. So you have like a wool that has maybe a little bit of acrylic for the shimmer, and then it has a mohair strand as well. Already together, so you're not holding anything double technically, but basically you are because it's 2 strands. But yeah, just super pretty, love it, was super happy to use up some stash and some stash buttons for that. I'll maybe try to talk through my hood accessories first really quickly. This is going to be the November Balaclava by PetiteKnit. This is the Fisherman's Rib. I used Louisa Harding Amatol Grande color More maybe, which is just this really beautiful rainbow, and this is it's a wool and silk blend, which I feel like it's just so rare to find this vibrant of a rainbow in a wool and silk. I feel like normally I see that in acrylic more. So I was just super excited to work with the yarn. I love it. I kind of want to make a whole sweater out of it. And yeah, I call myself a rainbow egg when I wear this hood, because I really do become a rainbow egg, and I kind of love it. A similar vibe, but very different construction and sort of more loose fitting, little bit less egg vibe. This is the Harris hood by Cheryl Matarki. I'm mispronouncing her last name, my apologies. And I used the Noro tabby, which was a gift from one of my friends, for the yarn. And yeah, again, just a really nice yarn, really nice pattern, really like this. I wear it a lot when I'm like visiting people that live in slightly colder places. I also made the same pattern, but I modified the stitch count a little bit because I was using a hand spun alpaca yarn from an alpaca farm that I had visited, and I had 2 skeins that were slightly different weights, so it's just, adjusting things a little bit here and there to make it work. And so again, same very classic like hood, same pattern, again, the Harris hood, but just different yarn and very, very different effect. And so the final hood that I have is going to be the Evie hood by Woozy by Celine. So for this, I used Super Glow for the merino, and then I had a Sari alpaca that I picked up from Spain that just has this really beautiful multicolored peachy tones that then go on top of the Super Glow like neon yellow. And I just love this. I'll try it on, I guess. I think this is probably my favorite of the 4 hoods. I love the bow detail. I just love the stitch pattern. It's knit, but I feel like it looks more like a crochet pattern almost. And yeah, I just feel like I know she just came out with like some gloves as well that have the stitch pattern that I've been considering making. I don't have any more of the yarn. I used both of the yarns up pretty perfectly. But yeah, love the stitch pattern. I had a lot of fun doing it. It felt sort of like crocheting. And I really want to make the gloves too now. So with that, I think I have just a couple more accessories before I'll move on to socks as sort of accessories, I guess. Sort of not, maybe their own category. So I have the Sophie scarf, which I don't think I'll say that much about. Let me just check the yarns really quickly. This is going to be Malbrigio yarn silk alpaca in the colorway pollen, and then also Pearls and Postulates Wilson mohair. And so they're just both this really beautiful butter yellow. It's sort of light, airy. I was using 2 strands of the Malbrigio yarn because it's a lace weight yarn within the lace weight mohair, and so I feel like my gauge is very airy, which I just enjoyed with like the fluffiness of the mohair and then the, you know, sponginess of the fact that you're doing it in garter. And yeah, just love this. I finished this more recently, so I haven't had as many chances to wear it, but it's a classic. I feel like everyone loves a Sophie scarf for a reason. I made a scrapped Sophie headband basically that I don't have with me, just with some leftover Sunday, double Sunday yarn for the sweater or jacket I made for my partner. And that I basically just modified. I, you know, didn't make it as long, and then it's just a band that I tie around my head. So wrapping up accessories, I had made 3 pairs of penny gloves this year. I have just 2 with me. One of them was going to be from the scrap yarn of this top, and I gave that as a gift to my friend. And then the other 2, this was some more scrap yarn. This was the Yakima Plymouth yarn. And then this was some Earth Spiral Grain yarn that my partner gave me in this really beautiful rainbow green colorway that I love. I wear these both a lot. I wear these a lot at work to keep my hands warm while I'm typing. And yeah, just a classic. Love a penny glove. And I think I made a couple, I guess I'm realizing. I made 2 hipster hats for my partner, which I don't actually even have final project photos of, but those were really fun. I made a couple scrappy pillows, and I also made some Ribka cat pouches, a fair few for friends and 1 for myself, and I also made a strawberry pouch. So I'll pop various photos up, but those I think conclude accessories. And with that, we'll get into the final category of socks, which I made a handful of this year. I say and I realize I can say really quickly, actually. I made 2 baby vests, which both were the pattern, the Melange sweater by PetiteKnit. I didn't actually do a Melange like marl of colors. I just used DK yarn for 1 and then held 2 of the same fingering together for another. And I also modified it to be a sweater vest. But so I made 2 of those, each for a coworker that was gonna have a baby soon. But so for socks, I made 11 this year, if my count is right. So I'll try to go through these pretty quickly. They're also all pretty well worn, so they're not maybe the cutest for reviewing. But so this is going to be the Bosniak sock, which I did in some Barnyard yarn eucalyptus. This has this beautiful cable and bobble like flower motif running up. It's bottom up. I added a crochet scalloped edge to the top just because I thought that went really well with the bobbles and the pattern. But a lot of my socks are going to be actually vanilla socks, so I'm really going to try to go through pretty quickly. I guess I made by Stone Knit, I made the itty bitty berry socks with just some scrap yarn. Again, forgive me how these are all pretty well worn and I don't really block my socks because I tend to wash them all together and I only have 1 pair of sock blockers. And yeah, these are just really pretty. Again, they do look really worn. I think I knit them on the wrong needle size. Also, I think I did 3 millimeters instead of the 2.5 or something they're supposed to be on. So they feel a little bit more like slipper socks, also especially since, they're color work, so they have 2 strands, so they're a little bit warmer. So I think we'll just try to speed round the couple, I made some vanilla socks, which I'm gonna just hold up. They're stuffed in together. These are both Arcade Fiberworks. This was Velvet Queen. This was Filled with Joy. I also made, this is Lana Grossa Vintage Apple Tweed vanilla socks. Again, none of these are looking very cute. I made the, what are the names of these? This is gonna be the Morrow Mirage socks by Emily Denuzio, which is a 2x2 rib where I think you're maybe supposed to be marling different sock weights together. This is just some worsted yarn that I had left over from my book club cardigan. And it was fun. I did a shadow wrap heel for the first time. They look kind of crazy when they're not on a foot. But yeah, just good to use up some scrap yarn. I also had, it's a fruit pattern as well. These are gonna be the Slow Morning socks by Camille Henna. This is gonna be some Rough Unique DK by Earth Yarns. And because this is, I don't think, intended to be a sock yarn, I do have holes at the heels that I need to fix. But this was a fun, like, self-striping, maybe it was supposed to be a sock yarn, self-striping yarn where the two socks ended up like very different colorways, but it's, I feel like they're sort of my avatar socks because I feel like this is earth and then like water or like elements, but I really like it. This was some more yarn for my partner, so thank you. And yeah, they just turned out really beautifully and I love wearing them. Clearly so much that I now have holes, which I need to fix. And I think I just have one final pair of socks, which are really quite felted because I have not treated them very well. But these are going to be the Heart Drop socks, which is another pattern from the Bossy Ox, and these were both from the volume 2 of the 52 weeks of sock knitting. And these are just so felted, you can't really see where there's like a heart drop stitch pattern, but it's basically as ribbing where you have this special where you dip down. But this was in some really beautiful camel, yak, and silk and wool yarn, I think. But it's felted kind of crazily. I don't mind because it's so soft, it's so cozy. I love wearing them. It's sad that the pattern, you know, I think this would have been better for like a glove or something like that accessory and not something that I knew was going to be washing on my feet so much. But I think with that in mind, I think that's almost all. I guess I made 2 pairs of vanilla socks for my mom and then for my sister, both for Christmas. But I think that is all the patterns and all the things that I knit in 2025. Thank you for bearing with me. I know that was a lot. I tried to speed round get through them. This was my second time trying to film it, and the first time my camera definitely died because I was talking too long about each pattern in way too much detail. But yeah, it was super, super fun making all these in 2025. I'm really excited for some of my plans for 2026. And you know, as always, just very excited to talk about knitting. So thank you. Oh, my cat is making an appearance in the final moments to say hi and hopefully not knock anything down off the table. But happy knitting and see you guys next time.